Hello, everyone, and welcome to an exciting episode of CLX Foundry Live, where we dive deep into figuring out who's going to win last month's PC. But first, we've got a new build that we're going to be starting out. I'm your host, DJ Blue PDX, and joining me live from a rather warm Wichita, Kansas, it is our lead technical expert who is starting to grow back the beard to look less like an 18-year-old. It is Paul Steffens, and of course, the master of all hair, Zach Killingsworth. Hi, boys.
Hello.
Hi. Now, I know everybody's flipping out about, like, who won the PC? We'll find out a little bit later. The suspense is going to be fun. And we'll explain how that works once we get to that point. In the meantime, don't forget, you can find out all about us at our socials at CLX Gaming, at TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Obviously, YouTube and Threads. You can also grab us on Tuesdays for things is where our focus is on kick.com/CLXgaming, which you're watching right now, or on Thursdays on twitch.tv/CLXgamingtv, which some of you are watching right now, and now on Twitter as well. Again, I refuse to call it X. It's stupid. Plus TikTok. What's up? How you doing? Please make sure that everything is, well, I can only read English, so there we are. Boys, we've got a fun project, and this is for Harold, our friend Harold in Pennsylvania. What are we putting in here? Because I have a feeling this is going to be fun because we've got this beautiful case.
Yeah, so Harold has configured a RAW off our website. So you obviously got the Fantex NV7 in black here for our case. And going inside this is the Intel Core i9-14900KF for our processor. We do have a CLX Quench 360 AIO to cool that. For our motherboard, we've got Asus ROG Strix Z790-F gaming Wi-Fi.
Love those.
For our memory, we've got two sticks of XPG 32 gig DDR5 5600 speed RGB. This is in black with RGB heat spreaders on them. For our storage, we actually have two M.2 drives. We've got the 1 terabyte from Patriot, the P300 NVMe model. For our video card, we've got an RTX 4070 12 gig. And for our case fans, we've got 12 of the GameDS Aeolus M2s. So a lot of fans inside this NV7. If you've seen us build them before, it's quite a bit. And then for our power supply, we've got the GameDS 850 Helios P2 80 Plus Gold.
Nice. Nice. Well, you know what they say about lots of fans? It means you're popular.
That's right.
No, wait. we're starting to get this, get the case taken apart, I want to take a couple notes of things for people to take a look at, because this is one of the best things about this case. Last year at PAX East, which is coming up again, this is when we first saw this, and it was gorgeous. Now, you notice that it's got an angled bottom on it. Those little markers down there. Now, there's some USB ports down there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But that angle gives us a really unique ability to shift the airflow dynamic in this case. Plus, as you can see right there with the two things that were taken out, there's also spots for two different rear exhaust fans. It's wild. So again, this is a brilliant case by our friends over at Fantax. It also features the really cool Velcro straps and some really great LED elements in there, plus their own unique lighting component. So, which I dig a ton. Paul, what are some other really neat features about this case?
So one of the most unique things besides those two rear exhaust fans is the back of this has a door that will show at the end. It actually swings open. You can plug in all your I/O. And then shut, so you get a clean look from the case all around.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the other thing is, now most people will notice there's this big bulky boxy thing up top, but there's a purpose for that. That's actually for your power. It's a power supply shroud. Now that separates the power supply from the rest of the system. Why is that important?
So there's a couple of reasons for that. So that allows us to put the power supply in the back. It covers up all those cables to give it a good clean look, but then also the power supply is going to get its own intake from the rear of the case and exhaust it out the back. That way none of the heat from that gets inside the main portion.
Nice. Here we go. Speaking of portions, there's a portion of plastic that's going to have to remove from this amazing motherboard, which actually has some pretty wicked rear panel I/O. So let's talk about this for starters. It is a ROG Strix Z790F gaming Wi-Fi. Now, I actually got asked this the other day because of my motherboard's a Z690. What's the difference between a Z690 and a Z790?
So with that, we're talking about the chipset of the motherboard. So typically when you have variations in that, the actual CPU socket is going to be different. Now on some boards, there'll be a couple generations where it can fit the same socket, so you can get, you know, a 12th gen or a 13th gen in the same socket. It just depends on which one you go with.
Okay. But you don't need a 790 in order to be functional with modern generation equipment.
Right, yeah, the 790 is going to have, you know, the newest stuff and all that, but, you know, the 690 and, like, I'm still using a 590 in my rig.
Okay, there we go. By the way, as always, if you've got questions about your PC, a PC you're building, a PC you've already built, or just about terminologies you might not be familiar with, please ask away in the chat. There is no dumb questions here. I will come up with the dumb questions because I'm the dumb one. Cosworth says, hey guys, I have an older H150i GTX AIO, and I'm wondering if it'll work with AM5, or will I have to upgrade it to a newer AIO? It's an early Corsair Link model for reference.
So
now, while we're... Oh, yeah, go ahead with that answer, and then we'll do the
so with that, if it's an older one, if it didn't come with an AM5 set of hardware, it's probably not going to work. However, it could still be compatible. You might just get a hold of Corsair and see if they could send you just the hardware for an AM5.
Now, here's the fun thing. So, Guava, I'm going to answer that question in just a second because we've got a couple different things here. Let's start with this I/O shield because now, when it comes to motherboards, the ROG Strix is known for being extraordinary when it comes to all the things they add to it. So, taking a look at this, we've got some exceptional connectivity here. Let's start at the very top. So we've obviously got our DisplayPort and our HDMI, which are useful if you've got a graphics addition on your CPU die. Down below there, we've got our two USB 2.0s, your reset button, your CMOS button, and then down below that is our four USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports. Those are all Type A's. Down below that, we have three USB 3.2 Gen 2s. There's several Type A's plus a Type C. You've also got a 3.2 Gen 2 by 2 USB-C. That's right down. Yep, that's right there. That's 20 gigs. That's 20 gigs up and down. That is what I have my my USB hub connected to. So I've got definitely enough traffic. We've got a 2.5 gig LAN port down below though. Wi-Fi 6E, an entire array of gold-plated surround sound options, plus an optical SPDIF or SPDIF. And then, of course, this thing also comes with Bluetooth 5.3. All right. That's a and that's a chunky board. Look at that, the heat sinks on the back of that. So when it comes to how the performance of the board goes, Paul, why is it important to have those heat sinks?
So what that does is just allow the components under them to stay cool. So typically when you've got a high-end board, maybe you're interested in some overclocking or something like that, and having ththese larger heat sinks allows you to push that a little bit further, get you some higher speeds while still keeping it stable.
Nice. Speaking of things that are stable, it's nice when you get to put it right in there, and what he's putting in there is our processor. That is an Intel Core i9-14900KF, Kilo Foxtrot. So there are 3 different types of processors that you can get from Intel. Paul, let's walk through those and what their differences are.
Yeah, so with this one, this is a KF, so this means it is unlocked, and the F means it does not have video. So those video ports you mentioned on the I/O, that's there if you have video on your onboard processor, typically used in like a workstation environment. We're not going to use the video card. Obviously in gaming builds, you're going to have a video card most likely, so you're going to be using those video outputs. So the F is a way to save you a few bucks if you don't care about having onboard video.
Oh my gosh, actually Hashim is right. There is 4. There's regular, there's K, there's KF, and there's KS. I always forget about the KS, honestly. That's the one that I'm always just like, it escapes my mind because it's not something I can afford.
Yeah, there's a few different other ones too that just aren't as common. You have a T, which is typically like a low voltage one, typically used in, like laptops or something like that. And there's a U as well that you don't see too often. So there's a bunch of different ones, but the non-K, the K, and the KF are the most common.
Speaking of things that are sometimes awkwardly common, let's talk about how you are spreading, or at least putting together, your thermal paste right there. By the way, thermal paste, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, Zach, what is thermal paste, and what's the best way to apply it?
So thermal paste is the conductor that creates a nice surface in between your processor and your heat distribution source, and that essentially just fills up any of the little pockets that are very microscopic on the metals, and allows the heat to transfer a lot quicker and a lot smoother. So the nicer the thermal paste, the more overclock you can get, if that is what you're wanting to go into.
I will say that over on Kick's side, Het Meow says the forbidden peanut butter. Yes, basically. And Survival Gaming, welcome in. What's going on? We got Lemon over on the TikTok side. Hiya. What's up? Yeah, we definitely are reading chat. We're always trying to make sure we keep up with all the questions. So just be aware that that is something we will definitely do. Sorry, I just had to type over there and then move over here. So now we're getting this all screwed on, and what we're actually putting on here is our CLX Quench 360 closed liquid cooler. It's an AIO. Paul, how do AIOs work? Why are these really good compared to, say, maybe an open loop system?
Yeah, so what AIs allow is a really easy way for you to liquid cool your system. And what's nice about these is they're very easy to install. You can see Zach put it together there in a few seconds. If it's your first time doing it, you're going to be able to do it no problem. It might take you a few minutes. The big thing is this AIO comes already filled up with coolant. You just grab the right hardware out of the bag. That's dependent on your CPU socket, and just slap it on there. They're really easy to install and provide great performance. So I always recommend going with an AIO.
Oh, and just because we always want to make sure that everybody understands, as much as we love to joke around here, please do not eat the thermal paste. Ever. Just don't. That's the best course of action. I was about to say hi to Nicole over on TikTok. But yeah, hi. How are you? So, Truly Meaningless, are you looking forward to the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong movie? Honestly, yeah, I also am planning on getting out to the IMAX and seeing Dune 2, because I'm a huge Dune fan. I remember the very first film, the David Lynch version that came out back in the 80s, which comparatively to the new one is terrible. But it was still good. Dune is amazing. Dune 2, I'm so excited. We're going to see that in IMAX. I'm freaking out about it just because I'm a massive fan. It's going to be a lot of fun. Decently expensive last meal. I mean, You get the high grade stuff, I guess. Go out knowing your gut's protected, I guess. You know. But yeah. Now what we see Zach doing right here is he's actually punching through or wrapping around the power cable. So how do you do this in order to make sure the power cable doesn't get heated?
So underneath, ideally you want to stay off of like the copper or the top of the processor. So I like staying around the pillars that hold the retention kit in place. And every once in a while it's easy and sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah, typically when you get these higher end boards with those larger heat spreaders, it gives you a little bit less room to work with. So it can be a little bit of a pain to wrap that around, but we like to do that just to hide the cable a little bit better and just make it look nice.
Kommen Sie hier
Yeah.
bitte, danke.
Now, we do have a great question coming in over on the red side. Danny C, hi, welcome. How are you? Any tips on liquid cooling?
Any what on liquid cooling? What was
Any
that?
tips,
Any tips?
on like best practices for liquid cooling, and what some of the benefits? Well, I would say, what's the best way for liquid cooling?
Yeah, so
also
typically, like I said, I always recommend these AIOs. They're just really easy to install. You can get them in a bunch of different sizes. So this way, what we've got here is a 360. So we can fit 3 120 millimeter fans on it. That's why it's referred to as a 360. You can go with a 120, a 240, a 360. They make some in the 140, 280, and on up variants, but the 120 through the 360 is typically the most common.
And by the way, I know that we are live on Twitters, but I am having some difficulty coming up with the chat. So people just bear with me while we're doing this. Yep, nope. No, I don't know how to do this. Oh, I can hear myself. That's not necessary. Awesome sauce. So, doing an ITX Strix build right now. Let's go. Yeah, buddy. There we go. There we go. Now, one thing I would love to talk about, other than Dodges, is RAM. Get it? Dodge, RAM. So for this build, we're actually going to be using, and I just messed it up. There we go. I'm over here like 8 different conversations happening behind the screen. For our RAM, we are going to be using two 32 gig sticks of XPG DDR5 5600. Now, this is great RGB RAM. I love XPG's RAM. It always looks awesome. Trying to click links here. So Jeremy, Yantis, hi, how are you? Jeremy says, let me pull this back up over here. Currently in the planning stages of my new system build, and which vendor to choose, and wondering which vendor to choose. Do you use expanding foam when shipping systems? Oh, Jeremy. First of all, if you look behind me, this giant crate is what my CLX PC came in. So guys, tell them about our shipping and what we do in order to ensure that we are definitely keeping the system safe.
Yeah, so when the system's done and gone through QA and we're getting ready to put it in its box, the first thing we do is get the side panel off, and then we have this expanding foam that you pop and these two chemicals mix, and then we put it inside the PC, and it will fill up all the little gaps inside the case, wrap around the video card to hold it steady. So that's what's on the inside, and then going from there, we use different types of expanding foam to fill in all the gaps, and we like to leave at least a 2-inch gap between the outside of the box and the inside in the case. That way it can take a hit or two and not get damaged. So yep, a lot of foam, a lot of care goes into the packaging of PCs.
Yeah, and it's all amazing. Okay, I'm trying it in a different browser to see maybe if that's what works too. Oh, there it is. Because I don't have the screen space for it. Got it. Hello, chat on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Here we go. Now, one thing that's really fun is how you're going to actually load your memory load your operating system and load your drive. So we've got 2 different drives. These are both 1 terabyte Patriot P300 NVMe M.2s. Paul, that's a lot of letters and numbers. What's an M.2?
Yeah, so things to pay attention to there are obviously the capacity, which is 1 terabyte, their NVMe, which refers to their transfer protocol. It means they're going to be very, very fast, and the M.2 is really the form factor. So these small sticks, kind of, we refer to them as like a little stick of gum or something like that. That's what that is. So when solid state technology came out, the first thing we saw was typically the 2.5-inch drives that were still using SATA. They were just, quite a bit smaller than the mechanical drives. And then we got into these, and the M.2s have really kind of taken over the market as far as SSDs go.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the one thing I would love to say is we've got this little bar that you can see Zach screwing back down. Now, that's a heat sink to keep your M.2s cool, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, these M.2s don't generate a ton of heat, but obviously if you can put a heat spreader on there, it's just going to make it perform better, give it a longer lasting life.
Yeah. Okay. Up next. Now, I do see you pulling things out. Is that a, well, we'll talk about that in a second there, Paul.
Sounds good.
All right, up next, we'll be taking care of the fans. Now that I got all my things back up and running, and I can see everything. What up, Twitchy? Omek? Button Basher? I almost said something else, and I'm so glad that I did not. There we go. Okay. Hello. And we will be getting to the announcement here in just a little bit. Now, Zach, I'm noticing you're attaching things to a frame. What's that for?
Yes, so some cases have removable fan trays. They make it really nice to attach all of your hardware outside of the case. You don't have to really worry about anything. All your cables being in the way, you can really get it kind of tied up the way you want it to. But these are just the bottom tray, which can go in a flat configuration or an angled configuration, and then the back 4.
Nice. All right. And by the way, I just want to jump back over to Jeremy real quick. Jeremy Yantes over here on the Twitter side says, I do want to be more, I do want to be hands-on, or at least get more knowledge about the whole build process, but the whole build might just sit better with me if it was professional and commercially done. And that's exactly what we do here. We've got years of experience. Well, as you can see, there's some very meticulous attention to detail going on here. Paul, Zach, how long have you guys been building PCs for CLX?
So I hit 9 years with the company last month, February actually. So
nice.
I'm doing it for a while.
Cyber Monday this year will be my 4-year.
Yep.
I got to represent and keep the my start day correct.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good start day.
Pretty good start
Cyber
day.
Monday.
Cyber Monday. What are we doing? We're building systems.
Building more.
Right, building more PCs.
Uh-huh.
So, and just for Jeremy's purposes, to give you this is my CLX PC that they sent me, and it was, it's perfect. It's absolutely fantastic. The cable management in the back is probably some of the most meticulous organization I've ever seen in my life. And we actually did that live on stream too, which was really fun. Fast hands? Yes, he's got very fast hands in that respect. Mech Meows is so cool. I've never built a PC for this. Is so fascinating. Oh yeah. Oh, mine's got lights all over it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we always.
How are we doing giveaways? Hola. Welcome.
We always encourage people that are interested in the DIY and doing it to do it. It's a fun hobby to get into. It can be kind of intimidating at the beginning, but if you're not wanting to get into that, that's exactly what we're here for. We're going to give you a professionally built system with the best cable management, and then we also offer the best support. So.
So let's talk about that. So with the baseline warranty, you get lifetime technical support, customer service, and labor. You just pay for parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
After a year, but you can get up to 3 years on yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can upgrade your warranty to 2 or 3 years if you want, and then the best thing that I think we offer is once you get your PC, you get that lifetime support. So if you ever want to upgrade later down the road and you're like, I just want to upgrade my video card, I'm going to buy a card and put it in myself. If you've got one of our PCs, you can always call in and our guys can walk you through that process or just give you a recommendation on what you want to upgrade and help you out that way.
All right, let's see here. So look up for once. I actually love that name. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Says I need some advice with my setup. I have a 3080 Ti GPU. My CPU is a Ryzen 5 2600. What CPU should I upgrade to? Excellent.
What was that GPU? I'm sorry, DJ.
3080 Ti.
3080 Ti, and what was the current CPU, or did they say?
That currently is a Ryzen 5 2600.
Okay,
now,
yeah.
What kind of CPU mount is that 2600 for?
So that's an AM4.
Is that AM4?
Yeah, that's an AM4
Okay.
socket. So really, you could go with that 3080 Ti, you've got a very high-end video card that's still going to perform awesome. So what I would recommend, if you want to stick with the same motherboard socket so you don't got to upgrade everything else, I'd look at a 5800X. It's a really solid gaming processor. And then if you've got room in your budget and you want to go 5800X 3D or even on up to a 5900X, those are solid processors. So
there is a 5800X 3D.
Yep, I believe that was the first time when they did their 3D technology. So
yeah, which is wild because like being able to fit that on an AM4 board, you're gonna So I have a question just about that. Is there a potential for bottlenecking because it's a 2900 series?
on the processor.
Yeah.
So with that, you
Since
probably
the GPU
do
is so
have
powerful.
some bottlenecking going on with that high end of a GPU. So if you're, losing frames in some games or you're just not seeing the best performance, it's probably not your video card having that 3080 Ti. So once you upgrade that CPU, it'll really balance out your system and give you a lot more life.
Absolutely. 762 asks, is a 4090 GPU good? I think that's the most powerful GPU on the market today, minus big corporate cards. But Paul?
Yeah, I mean 4090 is the top performing GPU right now. It's a solid performing one. It obviously comes at a premium, but yeah, it's a great card.
Jumping back over to the purple side. Ricky Mack, what up, DJ? Loved your last DJ set. Oh, thank you, dude. We accidentally just exploded on Saturday, and I think I DJ'd for 12 hours straight.
Oh, nice.
People just kept coming in. It was nuts. I think we maxed like 400 viewers. It was wild.
Oh, that's awesome.
Uncut Shane, howdy. What's up, dude? Have you ever just had to clean a PC if a customer is sent it back because of dust buildup?
So
Interesting.
I can't say we've had one sent back just for that reason, but we do get PCs that come in for repair that do get pretty dusty, and we always get that cleaned out for you.
My favorite is the Portal machine. Sabian a couple years ago created a dual open loop. It's got blue liquid and orange liquid in it. And about every 2 years, that customer sends it in for fresh liquid to get a new graphics card put on it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the way to do it. He just portals it here, and then portals it back to his house.
Yeah.
It's the portal system.
And that's
it's so cool.
Yeah, it's
I left these fan wires out for you, Zach. I could have run them through, but I didn't want to put them through a hole you didn't want them going through.
The one thing I will say about the dust feature is something that we're going to talk about here in a little bit about positive and negative pressure. I have a significantly positive pressure system, and so it keeps the dust out of this thing incredibly. So, and we'll go into that a little bit more when we get all the fans in the case. Coming back over to the green side. So glowy, yes. Hello, Spartan Daddy. Hello, welcome in. Back over on TikTok. Do you guys build and sell PCs? Yes, that's literally what we do. That's our company. Well, their company. I'm a streamer. Austin asks, are a 4080 and a 7600X on the same playing field in terms of not bottlenecking each other? That is a great question, Austin.
Yeah, for a 7800X processor, yeah, that's a great pair with that 4080. You know, those are both high-end components that are going to go well together.
Let's see. Speaking of dust, I just recently cleaned out my CLX mesh panel for the first time. How did that go? And Watto, yeah, no, mine is. I still haven't had to dust mine. I think this is the first time I've ever noticed a small piece of dust in there. First time, and I've had this since last summer. So, and that gets used daily. So pretty awesome. Hideo over on the TikTok side. Is this the new Back to the Future stuff? I ordered a PC, but well, Hideo, that's something that you want to hit up customer service about. Here on the streaming side, we don't really have access to that kind of information, so I definitely recommend hitting up customer service. Back over on the green side, good cable management is always a way to know when somebody enjoys building a PC. You're gonna freak out when you see this. Good Lord. Hashim wants to know, could Zach tell us what screwdriver he's using? Yeah.
This is the LTT screwdriver. Wave 1.
Yeah.
Get that in there.
Oh, and Hideo asked, is this the new ROG Back to the Future components? No, it's not. Not to my knowledge, at least. Yo, we got another DJ. What's up, dude? Yeah. Welcome in.
Man, I really like those new caps.
I do too.
I'm just saying, those look pretty good.
Yeah, Cosworth, you're right. You're right. It was Friday when I first noticed it was there, and I actually pulled out my can of air and sat it right there, and I still haven't cleaned it. It's been a long weekend. 'Cause I'm lazy.
Okay.
So, all right, we're getting those fans in. Now, one of the cool things that we're going to show you right now, this is a great shot for this. First of all, on this system, there's dual exhaust, which is rare. I don't know of any other cases that actually have a dual exhaust like that, right?
Yeah.
So what you can't see there is there's a blank space below the fans above the I/O shield. Now, the I/O shield doesn't sit on the back of the system. Because it's a 3/4 build. So first of all, what's that space right there? And Paul, what does a 3/4 build mean?
Yeah, so that space is where our power supply is going to be installed, and that 3/4 build is essentially this motherboard sits 3/4 of the way down in the case, which allows us to have a lot of room in the back for power supply, any extra storage drives, and gives us a good room for cable management as well.
And then down below that, you can also see where the teeth are. And then we call them teeth, but these are cable alignment because there's actually a rear door to this that is brilliant. And I mean significantly brilliant. And that allows you to actually continue with your cable management. I want to jump over to one of our friends over here on the TikTok side. Austin has one more question. Would you recommend 2x32 or 4x16 for RAM? I have 4x16. Paul, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I would kind of base it off how many RAM slots you have. Most likely you've got 4. So if you've got 4, I would probably go with 2x32. Just because it gives you a couple more slots to upgrade in the future. That being said, if you do like a performance test, 4 sticks of 16 gig are going to perform a little bit better than 2 sticks of 32 gig because essentially you're going from 2 lanes on a highway to 4. So they perform a little bit better. Now in my testing and my gaming and all that stuff, I don't notice really a big difference in frames per game. That's why I like to leave a couple slots open to upgrade later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Mech Meow back over on the green side says, what would you suggest for someone that is looking to stream if money was no issue? I use a 3D model as an avatar. Oh, so you're a VTuber. Got it. And my current setup has issues for sure when I try to run and run something stressy on top of my VTubing software. Okay. Paul?
Yeah, so if money isn't an issue, a dual PC setup is typically one of the best ways to go, running 2 PCs, one for streaming, one for gaming. That being said, the hardware has come a long way, so you can get just a single high-end build and do both if you wanted to.
I don't know if they're still on our website, but the Hathors that we were building, that is a gaming motherboard and graphics card with a sister board that is for your streaming and capturing. Has the Elgato, or not the Elgato, has the capture card on it. So
let's see here.
don't know if we still do those though.
Do you all do giveaways? Yes, we do giveaways each month, Care Bear. And you can definitely find out more about that in our Discord at discord.gg/clxgaming. And keep an eye out on all of our socials, which includes right here on the TikToks. How much does it cost for a PC? You know what, Valencia? That it depends on what you're looking for, what you're needing. And to find out more, what you should definitely do is pop on over to clxgaming.com. What do you think happens after we die? I'm going to assume that we get colder. I mean, our body's definitely going to get colder. Working on this like a car engine? Yes, he is. This is his Mopar. I'll say that. How do we hear DJ PDX? I'm assuming that people can hear me. Which PC is your cheapest? You know what? Again, you would want to check out our ready-to-ship models over on the website. And the RTS models are probably going to be where our budget element starts. And then you can kind of adjust things as necessary. Back over on to the green side. Emo Ninja. Hi, welcome back. For having a liquid CPU plus dual fan cooler, is it safe to have it running constantly throughout the day? Or would you have to keep it maintained in a way? Mine had stopped working and is already at the original company waiting on their diagnosis. Interesting.
Yeah, so really, I mean, all PCs should be able to run, 24/7 essentially. It's not something I recommend, but I know a lot of people who just never shut off their PCs. I always power mine down just because it might save me a few bucks on my electric bill. I don't know if it actually does or not, but, that being said, when you go to bed, I'd shut it off. But you shouldn't, if it's just idling at your desktop screen, you shouldn't have any issues running it 24/7.
Yeah, agreed on that one. Violent Echo, dude, can Zach build my PC? He may, very well so. Yeah, he does do it really, really fast. It's awesome. DJ, have you considered to start some sleep podcast? Your voice. Oh, thank you very much. That's actually kind of a great idea. I mean, I've done some book readings and things, but I could do some very soft and soothing things. All right. CLX to sleep with. Welcome to the show. Let's hear. The Chameleon FB. The LED fans on my PC no longer change colors due to the plug-in being plugged in. Wait, what? Being plugged incorrectly, and now the prongs are facing all different ways. Will I need a new motherboard, or can I take it to a PC repair shop so they can fix it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So what that is your RGB connector, and those are notorious for not being able to hold in that plug really tight. They come in a 3-pin or a 4-pin. Both of them, I mean, we always struggled with them, in the past for just keeping that plug in because sometimes they're a little loose. That being said, if you unplug it and you see that those pins are been out of whack, you can definitely take it to a PC repair shop and they should be able to bend them back. But also, if you just are very careful, you can bend those pins back a little bit. You don't want to bend them back and forth because they can break. But if it's just like the 4 pins are supposed to be straight up and you got like your 2 outer ones like that, you can just use your finger and just put a little bit of pressure and just bend them back in just a little bit. But if you see if they bend really easy and go too far in, they might be getting brittle. So if you're not comfortable doing that, I definitely take it into a place. They should be able to fix it for you like really, really quickly.
Yeah. Cuts by Jose. I have an Intel Core i7 9700K with 16 gigs of memory, an RTX 2080 Super, and a 1 terabyte hard disk drive, plus a 480 gig drive. I've had it for 5 years. What do I upgrade first? Good question.
Yeah, so with that, you've got a solid processor. Like you mentioned, your hardware is getting a little old. I think 16 gigs of RAM is plenty still. So I would probably go with your video card first. With having that old of a processor, if you upgrade your processor, you're going to need a new motherboard. And then if you get a current motherboard that's DDR5, you're going to need new RAM. So it can really kind of get to quite a bit of upgrades. So the first thing I would do is just buy a new video card, go there, start gaming on it, and see how it does. It's probably going to be your cheapest and biggest upgrade option.
Okay, let's do these.
Did you miss the winner? Absolutely not. Press baller, I don't think so. Vanilla Condom, have you ever sent builds to Bulgaria? And do you know anything about taxes and customs? I do not.
I don't. I don't think we have. It might be something we can do. It all depends on the country, so and what shipping is like, and like you mentioned, taxes and all that good stuff. We do ship quite a bit outside the U.S., a lot to Canada, and that was quite a challenge when we started doing that, figuring out all the taxes and duties and all that stuff. So we've got it down now, but anytime we do that, you know, it's a little bit more involved.
All right. Jordan likes Believe. Let's talk about this. Hi there. May I ask if you would buy an i5 6300U? It's a dual-core laptop with 16 gigs of RAM and a 250 gig SSD for 220 euros. Just want to run a virtual machine in it.
Yeah, if you're not gaming and just doing it for that, that's not a bad price. 220 euros. You could probably get them. You could probably talk them down a little bit. Try to start at like 175 and see what happens. But yeah, that'll be fine for, you know, like you said, a VM. But doing anything that's any major tasking, you know, might not be that great.
Yeah. Let's see here. Over on back on the green side real quick. Yes, so the Hawthorne, but speaking of which, yes, you're absolutely right. We still have the Hawthorns on the website, cool. So definitely check that out. Expectation rate does bring up a good point. If your download speeds are slow, I've heard people leave their PCs on overnight. Now, I'm going to be honest, and I know that it's going to make both of these guys cringe, but I don't, as a general rule of thumb, I don't turn off my streaming PC. Just because it's getting to that point where sometimes coming back on is just weird and it changes all sorts of stuff. So I just leave it. I shut everything in the background down, and then just turn off the monitors. But that's just me, and I'm pretty sure that's the wrong thing to do. So
yeah, I mean, it should be fine, but like I said, I always turn mine off. I know for you, DJ, with the streaming and all the settings you got, sometimes when you restart your machine, if one thing updates, it can throw everything out of whack. So I understand the hesitancy
and then it's
to do
hours
that.
of troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Hours of troubleshooting. No, you did not miss the winner yet. I'll tell you what else is a winner, and let's talk about what's in Paul's hand right now, and that is going to be our GPU. This is it's a thinner version of it too. This is a GeForce RTX 4070 12 gig. Now that's a 3-fan version. Paul, how does that feel in your hand weight-wise?
Yes, this is pretty light, honestly. This is a gigabyte card. It's their WindForce triple fan model. Really solid card here. It's small enough that it's going to fit in pretty much everything. Single 8-pin power connector, which I like. So most power supplies are going to be able to accommodate this. This is just a really solid gaming card here that isn't going to require a whole bunch of extra anti-sag brackets or anything like that.
Yeah. Spartan Daddy mentions, I have an AMD Ryzen 5 2600. My PSU is an 850 watt, is a micro board for the motherboard with 2 slots for RAM, which is 32 gigs. I have a 3070 Ti coming in. Do I need to do any upgrades before it gets in my current before it gets in? My current GPU is a 2080 RTX Ti. Okay. So
no, you shouldn't need to do any upgrades with that. Your power supply is a large enough wattage, and most likely it's going to use the same power connectors that your 2080 Ti did, which is probably 2 8-pins. So, nope, you should be good.
Let's see here. Wow, we've got so many things coming in. Give me a second to catch up here. The indexer. No, we have not picked the winner's not been announced yet at all. Rule of thumb, don't do a DJ days. If you're talking about in-game, you're darn right. Absolutely agree. So, WindForce is OC, right?
Yeah, it is. So it is overclocked from the factory. Pretty much every aftermarket, and by aftermarket GPU, I mean, you're buying it not straight from NVIDIA or Radeon. So Gigabyte, Asus, PNY, Zotac, MSI, all those brands are going to come overclocked from the factory. And really all that means is they are slightly overclocked it from its base setting. So it might not be a huge overclock, but it's going to perform a little bit better than the factory version.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's why can't you, instead of leaving your PC on, can't you just let it go to sleep? Mega, I'm going to be honest, I never, and I've worked for Microsoft, I do not trust the sleep mode. It is, man, it causes issues. James Murray is an Xbox guy. GG. So Jerry Cortez over here on the TikTok side says, why does my PC run 225 frames when it could easily run over 300? What do I need to upgrade? Well, there's a lot of information we're going to need on that one, bud.
That's going to be depending on what game you're playing, what resolution, your hardware, a bunch of stuff there. So we probably need a little bit more information to give you a solid answer on that.
Is a 7600X and 4060 Ti good for 1080p at 240 frames?
Yeah, 1080p it should be able to run most games at that frame rate.
Elixir wants to know if 1105 entries is many. I mean, it's better than one, and all it takes is one to win. So, best of luck on that one. Let me back up just a little farther here. Oh, apparently they cannot hear me on TikTok.
Uh-oh.
My voice is not coming through. Okay, thank you so much. Awesome. Mason, how much for a good PC? I think it really just depends on your budget, to be honest. Will you guys be doing any Yes, let's go. We do giveaways each month. You definitely want to come by to find out more. We usually get those, start those after we announce, and then on the first show of the month we announce the winner. We're going to be announcing the winner today for the beautiful PC that is over behind Zach right now. That is our giveaway PC. Absolutely gorgeous, specialized design. Look at that, all the colors and fans, and but it's not always that blurry. Right now it is because the focus is on what's in front of him.
Oh man, that looks really good.
Yeah, I really like
there
that.
There we go. Jumping back over to the kick side.
Yeah, I like that one.
I was snagged at 70? 70.
So, Emo Ninja says, is it recommended to have two people work on building a PC, one person, or will it depend on its components?
Really, one person is fine to be doing a PC. It's kind of nice when you've got two people because I can really get everything unboxed and all the stickers and all that stuff taken off, which does save some time. But yeah, one person's just fine, honestly.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Now, the one thing we didn't talk about, but I want to point out, is our favorite feature that Rogstrix has put on their boards, and that is what we call the button. Guys, why is the button cool?
The button's great because it will release that top PCIe clip. So when you push your card down like Zach's about to do here, you'll hear a little click, and that's how you know, there it is. That's how you know your card's locked in. Now on these high-end boards with these heat sinks, typically you're gonna have a high-end video card, which can be pretty large. It makes it hard to push that clip down to unlock your card should you ever need to take it out. So having that button on the side of the board there just really assists in taking everything apart.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we will have a new one soon for that. Let's see here. With the lifetime warranty, can somebody send in their PC and buy a new case for it from y'all?
Yeah, if that's something you wanted to do, you just want to keep all the same components, but there's a new case that came out that you want, it's definitely something we can do.
Have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Is Corsair Vengeance IPX 32 gig a good choice for DDR5 6000?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the top brands, one of the more well-known brands for memory. So yeah, it's solid RAM to go with.
Oh,
Drop that.
Well, Mega brings an interesting question. Mega says, hey, I broke the tab that locks in my GPU. Do I need to have it?
Okay, so it's a good question. So if you've got it screwed in,
What graphics card? First?
If you've got a GPU that isn't super heavy, you should be able to work it just fine. I would be very careful when moving your PC because that is really what's locking in that card. So that could definitely come loose. I would definitely recommend getting a replacement clip and putting it in there. However, if it's working fine, I just would try to leave it in its spot.
Now, I do want to point out one thing. You see all those cables coming down as he's installing the power supply unit. This is, of course, our PSU. This is a GameDeus 850 watt Helios P2 80 Plus Gold. What kind of a power supply unit is that? Because that's a lot of cables.
Yeah, so this is a non-modular power supply, which means all these cables are pre-soldered in. So we're going to be plugging in the ones that we need, and then we'll bundle up the rest and tuck them in this nice area that we've got here on this case. Now there is another type of power supply, which is called modular, which none of those cables are pre-soldered in, and there's little ports The cables come extra inside the box, and then you just plug in what you need. Those are really nice to work with because you just use the cables that you need for your build, and then you can keep the rest, you know, in a box or something if you ever upgrade and need them later. But that saves you time on cable management and gives you a cleaner look.
Bezels over here on the Twitch side says, question, I have a Ryzen 7950X3D with a 2-fan AIO and an NVIDIA 4070 Ti. I am having major frame and temp issues when playing games. Any ideas on how to fix it? The board is an MSI P650P Wi-Fi with a Thermaltake 800-watt power supply.
So your hardware really sounds good enough to be running games without too many thermal issues. So you may just have some poor thermal paste on your CPU under there. Typically the thermal paste on your GPU is going to be just fine. You might make sure that there's nothing blocking airflow or that nothing inside your case is getting too hot to cause that. But your hardware is powerful enough that it shouldn't be getting too hot. So, you know, I'd check those connections, make sure you don't got like a thick wall of dog or pet hair or something clogging up any intake fans or something like that. You can check those before you start getting a thermal paste, having to take components out or anything like that.
Violent Echo there's been a couple questions about, hey, you know, the angled bottom, why is that a thing? So I do want to point this out because this is actually really, really important. So the angled bottom, which you can make flat, but I would not prefer that. The reason it's angled is it gives a little more access on the bottom for the airflow to come up into those fans. Now your 3 intake fans blowing up, instead of blowing straight into the graphics card or whatever PCIe card is going to be right there above it, they're angled. Now what that's going to allow it to do is blow the air both up to the fans or the GPU, but also bounce it off the front piece of glass, which is going to have two different effects. Obviously, the tempered glass helps in reducing and dissipating heat. Well, the faster you cool that glass down, the faster it can absorb more heat and the faster it can dissipate. Plus, we've got our 4 fans in the back that are going to be pushing it, and that creates a circular pattern that is going to flow right out those dual exhausts. From an aerodynamic standpoint, the case is brilliant.
24 VGA CPU.
Uncut chain, are they the new Astros A50? Yes, they are. These are my A50Xs in the back.
2, 1, 2.
Yeah, these are amazing. Amazing. I am working on getting everything adjusted so that I can finally migrate from my A40s over to my A50s. But yeah. How much does a typical rig from y'all weigh once assembled? Ooh, that depends on the case, to be fair. and the
Let's see. I built that server that had 6 20-terabyte hard drives in it. That thing was pretty heavy.
God.
Yeah, it really comes down to the size of your case and what's inside of it. So power supply is going to be a lot of the weight. So a higher wattage power supply is going to be quite a bit heavier than like a lower wattage one. But yeah, I mean, they can be anywhere from 45 pounds up to 100. Especially when you get them in a crate. That crate is very durable.
Yeah. I love this thing. Now, the only animal brings up a really, really good point. Why not get a power supply that you don't have to do all that extra cable management with?
Yes, that's a good question. So I think the real answer for that is cost. So modular power supplies are nice, like I was just talking about a little bit ago, but they do come at a premium in cost. So if you know you need an 850 watt like this system does, you can go with 850 watt non-modular, which is what we have here, or an 850 watt modular, and the difference being the price of the power supply. So if you want to save a few bucks and not sacrifice performance, you can go with the non-modular here. So I'm going to assume that's why the customer picked this one. I always recommend that's an area of a build where you can save a few bucks going with the non-modular. Just takes a little bit more work to do the cable management.
Yeah. Let's see here. You love your MV7? Devil says, yeah, I love it. When are they installing Baldur's Gate 3? That's a good question. Depends on what the customer is needing. Back over here on the kick side. So I have an Intel i5-12400F with a 4060 and 64 gigs of RAM. Is this suitable for gaming and streaming?
If you're going at 1080, probably, yeah. You can probably get some gaming and streaming without too many hiccups. Definitely gaming at 1080, that's a solid thing. Once you start streaming, that can be a little bit more processor intensive depending on how you're streaming. So you might notice some hiccups there, but if you're doing everything at 1080, you shouldn't have an issue.
Yeah. And just as a content creator, I will say this, that when you're starting out, it is okay to stream at 720 or even 864. Like, but I always go for 60 FPS and then a reasonable resolution, because that's going to take less processing power. And then that'll give you that little boost in FPS over on the 1080 side. Because honestly, Ubisoft would do that. A 1 terabyte game. Yeah, they're going to put all of EVE Online and on a one drive. The whole universe is just there. It's persistent. And welcome in everybody who's coming in from over on TikTok side. I know we had to kill that for a second because apparently my voice is a commercial. I see a lot of streams with 920p. Is that EU or Mac? Actually, so long as your resolution's divisible by 8, okay, it's gonna sound weird, then that is a viable resolution. And getting something that's between 720 and 1080 is really nice because you've got a little better clarity. 920 works. I think that it can run Crysis. Crysis, still a valid thing, as back in the day my friend popped his GPU by exploding 150 barrels at once. That's unfortunate. I'm so sorry to read that.
Like when I could just do that.
Cash asks, I stream smoothly with an i7 8700K and a 1080 Ti with 16 gigs of RAM. Yeah, that should do it. I mean, my streaming rig, let me be honest, the gaming rig is, 30 seconds from becoming Skynet. My streaming rig, totally different story. It is just an i5. It's a Ryzen 5 36 or 5600X, 3600X, I think. I've got 16 gigs of RAM, a 1070 in it, and then my hard drive. So it does not require a lot. And I run everything from my chat bots to the mix it up, all of my Stream Deck software, Discord, OBS, and that's all run off of this thing. So streaming doesn't take a whole lot, but you got to make sure you've got to dial in and know how you're setting it up properly. I have an RTX 3080 12 gig LHR. Should I be looking to upgrade to the 4080 or wait for the 50 series? I mainly play older AAA games.
I'd stick with that 3080. That's a solid card to play those types of games. So, I'd hold out for a while. You might even be able to wait for the 60 series if you want.
James all cut over on the red side. My rig is so old that it's just steps above an abacus. That's that VGA. That's that VGA cable right there. Random question: did you ever do radio work? You have a voice? Yes. I radio work. Actually, a lot of different things. I got my degree in broadcasting after I started shoutcasting for Halo, and then went on to I had a radio show for a little while, and now I just do esports shoutcasting and hosting, and I voice characters for video games. So yeah, but that's also when our production team was like, it's treating DJ like he's a licensed music or something, and yeah, it's weird. My voice oftentimes will trigger that, which is awkward.
Okay.
Not a fan of fans, but other than that, it's gonna be good. Yes, fans are always, well, it's always nice to have fans. I have a face for radio. Yes, also true. Also true. Back down here over on the green side, I'm currently streaming with an i5, and it's a gaming laptop where there is a will, there's a way. Absolutely. If you can make it work, you can make it work. Faintly Accardo, upgraded from a 3060 to a 4090. Nice.
It's a big upgrade.
Pandoros asks, is this the Celestial Flora?
So that is our giveaway. That's not this NV7 that we're building
Yeah.
right now, but our Celestial Flora is on the giveaway. If you do like that case, you can still get a configuration with it without just having to win the giveaway.
Let's take a look at that real quick. It's a gorgeous PC. Check this out.
We're just gonna do
Absolutely brilliant design. Part of our custom series. Yeah. Just one heck of a machine. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's the NV5, which is like the little brother to this case.
Yeah. A little bit different, a little more compact. The power supply unit shroud is on the bottom. So, yeah, Cozy Skelton, I love the mechanical stuff. They got some great designers here. Kyle just goes nuts with stuff, and Nicole will be like, I have an idea, and the two of them collab, and it's just breathtaking. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff. The $49 is worth it for the price. Yes, I would say that it definitely is for the most part if you're coming from, say, a 10 or 20 series card. Now, I have a 3090 overclocked custom one on mine. I am probably going to wait until the 50 series before I consider upgrading, because right now, I'm pulling major frames with this thing, because I can play Rainbow Six Siege at 4K on Ultra and be pulling 240, 250 frames easily. Yeah. Is there a VOD on the build of the gaming PC behind you? Mike, there actually is. It's on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's it was last summer. I want to say June, maybe. Right around there, yeah. But yeah, all of our builds on there, and they built this live on the show. You're gonna love it. It's a really, really great build out. Do you think the 50 series is going to be a massive upgrade, as people say?
We'll see.
Why are we yelling? Yeah, I mean, I know there's been some incredible advancements lately, so I'm expecting it to be kind of breathtakingly awesome. Big Stony Dev, what time are you going to announce the giveaway? I want to be here to see who wins, but I work here soon. It's an excellent question. We'll be getting to that actually very, very soon. And killed.
Yeah, we still got
Microsoft just did a Google and killed the Windows subsystem for Android. Well, everybody makes a choice. Haven't been able to. You haven't been able to enter the giveaway. I'm so sorry, James. Definitely check out the links and jump in there. We've got 95% of the time, if it is on eBay, the risk is that it was used for crypto mining. So no, I would get a weaker, brand new one over on eBay. I don't trust anything off of eBay, personally. That's just me. I don't do eBay nothing. Can you explain to me what overclocks mean? I'm a newbie.
Yeah, so
Travis, excellent question.
So what overclocking is typically in reference to your CPU or your video card. You can do it on other components as well, such as like memory. But what that is these components come with a base clock speed. And so overclocking is just taking it past that base clock speed. So what that does is it basically allows it to run at a, if I'm going to use a car as a comparison, a higher RPM, so it's going to be faster. So it can cause more wear on your components though. So that's kind of the risk reward that you want to think about when you're doing that. So anytime you push your CPU or your GPU past its factory clock settings, whatever that is, you're overclocking it. So technically if you pushed it 1 megahertz faster than what it's at, you've overclocked it. Now obviously not quite a bit, but that's what overclocking is.
Nice. Nice. All right. Okay, so now one of the things I wanted to point out, because it's kind of important, especially when it comes to troubleshooting. Zach has a very brilliant way of managing the cables, even though it looks a little crazy right now. He knows where everything that is at. Zach, tell us about how and why you connect the fans the way that you connect them.
Yes, so I like connecting in a circle. Some fans get plugged into hubs. These Game DS fans get plugged into these eight fan hubs, and then we can daisy them together. So we do have 12 fans in the system here. So the way I like to organize all of my fans is I start on the rear exhaust, and then this gets plugged into fan 1, then fan 2, fan 3, 4, 5, fan 6, 7, 8, fan 9, 10, 11, 12, and 8, 9, 10, 11, or 9, 10, 11, and 12 are going on to that second one. So this will be in the first spot, second spot, third, and fourth on that second one. That just makes it a lot easier to, if a fan is not spinning or a fan is not glowing, then I can easily go back to our hub and say, oh, well, that one is plugged in wrong, instead of having to try and trace wires randomly. Just makes it a lot easier to work on.
Vanilla asks, what do you think about using secondhand components when building a PC?
If it's coming from a trusted source, then, it's probably okay. But
hey man, we've built plenty of guild members' computers out of 2 or 3 other guild members' old parts.
yeah.
That is how you get friends and little kids into gaming.
That's right. So, yeah, if it's coming from a trusted source, you're obviously probably good, in case something goes wrong, go back to the person and be like, hey, this card ain't working no more. But yeah, as far as using, like a Craigslist or something like that, I'd pretty much stay away from it, just because you don't have much recourse if it ends up not working the day after you get it or something like that.
I do want to jump over here to the Twitch side, because the only channel, get it together, DJ. The only animal asks, why is there such a big hassle for a dual PC streaming setup when it comes to audio, which it makes you ending up getting extra gear that you may or may not need or use? Well, I'm a dual PC streamer, so it is not just a simple plug and play at all. It is definitely going to take several pieces of equipment. Usually you're going to need a mixer, unless you have a built-in virtual splitter. So you want to be able to make sure that you've got the audio going to your headphones, and you've got to be able to get audio from both PCs into your headphones at once. That's where you start getting the tricky part. You also want your microphone to be able to go not just to stream, but also to game, so you're not having to have 2 separate microphones and you're not echoing. The other key is whether you want to have effects. Like, I have a Go XLR and my Mixamp Pro and my Stream Deck. Like, there's a lot of things for ease of use that are absolutely imperative. So, and then of course you add the fact that I've got my entire music studio over there that's attached to it makes it even that weirder. But it's all dependent upon what you want to do, and there's plenty of us who will be more than willing to answer questions about that if you've got some further ones. Absolutely. I'm falling behind here. Seeing these cases being built, there is definitely a difference in quality, mainly the case and cable management. The cables were a bit messy for mine, sadly. Yeah, Zach and the boys are wildly efficient. It's awesome. FLC Films over on the Kick side says, what is it when my PC graphics card is cutting display off when it is on low settings and low temperature? Had the graphics card for 8 years and it's an AMD RX 5700 XT. There it is.
So without having that system in our hands and being able to, test some things out and troubleshoot it, we can't really give you a definite answer. That being said, the card is getting a little bit old. You might make sure that the HDMI or DisplayPort connection, whatever you're using for your monitor, isn't loose. Maybe unplug that, replug that in. Typically, that can be a cause for just display randomly cutting out and then coming back on. Maybe that card's wiggled a little loose out of its slot, so maybe taking it out of its slot and putting it back in. Those are a couple things that I would just try right off the bat.
DJW, hi buddy. Remind me what the name of the fans that connect into each other like Legos and that only have one power point.
Yes, there's a couple different versions of those, but yeah, the D30s are one of them. Leon Lee has the Uni fans as well that work like that, and a couple other brands are starting to do that too. So you've got a few different options if that's what you're looking at.
Nice. Nice. A Godzilla themed case. I mean, we can do all sorts of decorations on these. Yeah, all sorts of different cases you can do. Also, if you want something personally customized and done, get a hold of customer service. I mean, this is a custom job right here. That's designed. The earth wraps all the way around the bottom. The whole back and top is a star field. And then, of course, the clear glass has got my name on it and my insignia. So it's really awesome. Height cases, I don't believe we carry height cases at all. The Travis asked over on the green side, do you have to be in the chat when you all announce the winner of the giveaway? Absolutely not. So what will happen is, once we announce the winner will be getting an email from us saying, hey, here you go. You have 24 hours to respond or we re-roll. So keep an eye on your emails, people. Coming down here to Triple Smurf or Trippy Smurf. What's up, Trippy Smurf? What do you need to do to replace or upgrade RAM? I'm running out of C drive storage, and that's the first. And what's the first step to upgrading? Well, I think those are two different things.
Yeah, your C drive is what your OS is stored on. So it's either going to be an M.2, a 2.5 inch, or a full 3.5 inch mechanical drive. So if you're running out there, you know, depending on which drive you've got, you just really want to upgrade to another one. Or you can buy a secondary one if you've got the slots and space on in your build, and then you can use that for storage. That way you don't got to mess with reloading or anything like that. For your memory, if you're upgrading your memory, you just want to make sure that you get it the right generation. So if you got DDR3, DDR4, DDR5, you just want to make sure you're buying that same speed, or not same speed, but that same generation, because they are keyed differently on your motherboard. So if you have a DDR4 motherboard, DDR5 memory is not going to go into that board.
Yeah. Yep. And make sure that the memory you buy is the same speed. Like, don't get two different speeds. If you get 2600, get two 2600s. Yeah. Or if you're adding to what you already have, just make sure you're getting the same speed that's already in there. And you can find that out through Task Manager, actually. If I sent a PC in, can we turn it into a CLX computer and add components? I'm actually looking into the dual PC setup.
And that's not typically something that we do, but you can always reach out to our support team and see what they can do for you there. But that's not normally something that we would do.
By the way, FLC 290's issue with regards to the RX 5700 XT is that early out of nowhere the display disconnects, and it happens 3 times, and my family had to take it out and fix it every single time. 3 times just today. That's a confusing one. Samoan, I absolutely love the thank you so much, we appreciate it. Mentions, I love how you guys build your PCs in popular high quality cases instead of how the quote unquote other guys do them in cheap looking cases.
Thank you, appreciate that.
We definitely we love what we do. Cozy Skeleton question, why don't people use 4 RAM sticks instead of 2?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So really, my take on that is, if you're using 2 sticks, you got 2 extra slots open for a few years down the road. When you want to upgrade, you can just slap some new memory in there without having to replace all your sticks. So I'm sure that's the reason why.
Yeah, that's why I went with 4 instead of 2. Over on the red side, CR, hello, says, I have an Aorus B450 motherboard and G-Skill Trident 32 gigs of RAM, but I can't control the RAM color with RGB Fusion or G-Skill control. Any advice or options that I could try?
So if your RGB software for your motherboard is not compatible with the RAM, that could be what's going on. I don't know about any other third-party RGB software. You might be able to find some, do some Googling. But typically it's going to be based on your motherboard.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the chance of a leakage to occur when using a water-cooled system, and how to prevent it?
Pretty low. So, I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. In my many years of building PCs, it's probably less than 5 AIOs that I've seen like just leaking. So,
I caused one by screwing through a liquid vein, and that's really the only time I've seen one.
yeah.
And that was a self-sabotage.
Well, and one thing that I will say is, if you're looking to do an open loop, the Leon Lee 011 case that has the front panel distro plate, it's built in on this panel right here. That is, that's my next. I want it a lot.
Yeah, it looks great.
But Any advice for someone who knows none of the technical terms and specs on computers on how to shop for strong gaming PCs? Paul.
Yeah, so you've got a couple things you want to start with first. First off, pick what CPU you want to run, whether that's an Intel or an AMD, and then pick your graphics card that you want to go with. And once you've got those two things figured out, you can really flesh out the rest of it. So once you've picked your processor, whatever you pick is going to have a socket type, and that's what you'll use to purchase a motherboard. So you'll look at motherboards with that same socket type that are compatible with that processor. And then once you've picked out a motherboard, that's also going to have a form factor. It's going to be something like an ATX, an MATX, an ITX, or an EATX. And that designator is going to decide what case you can get. So if you get an ATX motherboard, you need an ATX case. And then once you've got that done, you know, your motherboard will tell you if it's DDR4, DDR5. That'll help you buy the memory. Pretty much every motherboard is going to have SATA ports and M.2 slots, so you can buy your storage, you know, based on that. And then your power supply. If you're really not sure what power supply to get, you can just Google a PSU calculator or a power supply calculator, and that will allow you to put in all your components, and it'll spit out a wattage that it's recommended for you to go with.
A couple questions coming in from One Gaming Creed. Now, he says, some people say that Leon Lee has horrible airflow. Is that true? Absolutely not. And I'm going to show you why. Especially on this O11. Now, this is what we're going to talk about, the airflow, just like in this. So for this, I have got 9 fans blowing in, 3 on the bottom. I've got a push-pull on the radiator for the liquid cooler, right? So I've got 3 fans blowing air through it, 3 fans pulling air out of it. Plus, I've got the 3 exhaust fans at the top and the 1 on the bottom. Now, that is a very, very positive pressure system. I'm lucky if my GPU temperature, like running 4K Ultra Rainbow Six Siege, that I don't think I've seen my GPU get to 50 degrees yet. My CPU hasn't got above 50 degrees. That's how well these systems work. So absolutely love it. And so bringing that back, I want to take a look at all of the fans we have on this, because we've got the 4 in the back, right? And those are going to be bringing in. So we got 4 plus the 3 on the bottom. So that's 7 in. And then we've got our 3 on the top and 2 on the back, which is 5. So it's a 5 inbound, 2 outbound. So, Paul, that's a positive pressure system. How does that help in not only cooling, but also in dust prevention?
Yeah, so the big benefits of going with a positive pressure system, meaning you've got more intake fans than you do exhaust, more air coming in than leaving, is all that air coming in is going to go through the designed filters for your case. If you have them the opposite way, where you've got more air leaving than coming in, it creates a vacuum inside your system, and then it will start sucking in dust through all the little cracks and crevices around your PC.
Yep, absolutely agreed. And you got the question answered. The question was, what's the most powerful i9 right now? And that is the 14900K and KS. Also true. Thank you, Joey. Appreciate it. Yeah, PC is gorgeous. It's going to be great. Now, we have 2 things we want to do, because I want to show you guys how you can get your hands on one of these amazing PCs real quick. So let's take a quick second to jump over to our website, and that is clxgaming.com. So at clxgaming.com, we've made it almost foolproof. I'm sure that I could find a way to screw it up, but we're not getting into that. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to get the PC of your dreams, and that is absolutely gonna do what you need it to do. You can choose everything from cases, motherboards, processors, and you don't have to be completely knowledgeable, because if you choose things that aren't compatible, that little button up there, you saw how it turned from green to yellow? So the best way to describe this is, say you have a motherboard, like you've chosen a DDR4 motherboard, but you chose DDR5 RAM, all right? So the configurator is going to say, all right, if you want to use the DDR5 RAM, you're going to have to use one of these options for motherboards. But if you'd rather have this motherboard, you're going to have to choose one of these RAMs, which are DDR4 speeds. Once you've solved the problem, boom, it will automatically go back to green, and you can continue going. We've got AMD, Intel, Radeon, NVIDIA, tons of things. Plus, we have so many options of stuff that you can do. Now, you can get it liquid cooled. You can get it open or closed loop. We can also overclock your device for you. That's GPU, CPU, or both. You can upgrade your thermal paste, choose your AIO, And then we've got all of our other fun accessories. Now, first of all, we carry windbreakers, t-shirts, and hats, which are fun. I love mine. We also have keyboards, mice, headsets, tons of headset options. But the best thing is we have streaming gear available. Not only do we have capture cards, we've also got Beacon mix creates and Beacon mics. Beacon Company is wonderful, and also the winner today is going to be taking home a Beacon mix crate and a Beacon mic, thanks to our partners over at Beacon, which we're super excited about. Now, some people might be a little bit standoffish about, all right, I'm not sure that I want to go through all of that to get a PC. Don't worry. We've got dozens upon dozens of pre-configured, ready-to-ship models that have already been tested and are looking for a brand new home. And who knows, that home might just be yours. And don't worry, if you see something you might want to tweak or adjust, we have an ability for you to do that as well. So keep an eye over there and check it out. With that being said, for all of your future PC and computer needs, check it out, clxgaming.com. Now, there's a, let's see, I might have missed. Is it worth it to upgrade my PC? I think Ivory got a hold of that. Now, the one thing I know everybody's waiting for is, hey, who's the winner? Who did it? Well, I'm about to tell you that winner. Are we ready? Are we all ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. Your winner for the February giveaway. That was 24 hours to answer the email is none other than Zenith. You can find them at the Zenith _ on Twitter or just Zenith XENEATHH right here on Twitch. Congratulations, Zenith. Please respond to that email. And we're super excited to see what you're going to do with your PC. Now, speaking of the PCs real fast, Paul, where is this going to go? What's it going to do? And why are you going to play with it?
Yeah, so this one, just like any machine we build, the giveaway system, anything we build here, once it's done being built and powered on, it goes to our testing department. So that's where we get into the BIOS of the machine, make sure RAM speed's set correctly, all the storage devices are showing up, and maybe mess around with a couple other settings depending on the build. And then after that is where we actually load the operating system. If you picked any games on our website, that's where we would load that. We don't install any bloatware on our machines, so if you didn't pick any games, you just picked an operating system, that's all we're going to put on there. You get a fresh install of Windows and you're good to go. And then after everything's been loaded, we stress test the system for 12 hours, which allows us to make sure everything is stable. So sometimes a component can allow the system to power on, but once you're gaming, cause it to fail. And so that's where we can catch that, fix it here, and make sure you get a stable machine at home.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. And thank you guys so much for all the questions today. I'm absolutely loving it. Zenith won with one entry. How do you know? I don't know. All right. Let's go ahead and see how this is going to heat up for Harold in Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
Yo. God, that's clean. One of the things that I think really stands out about these is the fact, first of all, we got that the corner lights, the little light strips around the wall. Looks so good. But it's the light strip that comes up the back and across the power shroud. Looks so good. Absolutely love it. I dig it a ton. That's going to be a great PC. All right, let's go back through one more time what's inside this incredible PC for our friend Harold in Pennsylvania. This is the CLX RA NV7 Black by Fantex. It's got an Intel Core i9-14900KF processor mounted on an Asus Strix Z790F gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. It has 64 gigs of XPG DDR5 5600 plus that beautiful RTX 4070 graphics card. The operating system and the secondary drive are both 1 terabyte Patriot P300 NVMe M.2s. Our CPU will be cooled with a CLX Quench 360 AIO liquid cooler plus 12 GameDius Aeolus M2 RGB fans, and of course our GameDius 850 watt Helios P2 80 plus gold power supply. All righty. Now, with that being said, this show is going to happen in 2 parts, as always. In just a few, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, you get to spend the afternoon with Zach as he continues building more amazing PCs. And he's actually got a really special one that we're super excited to see happen. Now, as a reminder, this show happens Tuesdays and Thursdays starting at 11 a.m. Pacific. That is 2 Eastern. And we have a focus on Kick on Tuesdays, focus on Twitch on Thursdays, but we're on all of them. You can find us and find out what's going on with all of our giveaways and social media by following us on social media. That is YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. CLX Gaming. If you'd like to join a community of like-minded PC enthusiasts and gamers, check us out at discord.gg/CLX Gaming. Oops, there we go. Now I am going to go play some Dying Light 2 because we got a bunch of new DLCs that are going to be going. But you guys are going to hang out with Zach. So on behalf and first of all, congratulations to Zenith once again. And on behalf of Kyle and Jason in production, Paul and Zach, I'm DJ Blue PDX. Don't go away. We got more coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
Thanks, everybody. See you, Dadzilla.
Bye. What is up, Scooby Gang? I hope everybody is excited for Zenith to win that beast of a machine, our February giveaway. And for all of you lucky people, you know what that means. We're gonna build another one. All right, I have got some pretty fun equipment today for us. We are going to be throwing down on an MSI B760 Tomahawk Wi-Fi. We've got a 4060 graphics card. We've got 750 watts of power. We've got 240 millimeters of cooling. Contingencies. I like that one. We've got a solid terabyte NVMe. And then, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 sticks of 16 gigabit, 4800 megahertz RAM. And this is all going to be brain populated with an Intel i5 14600 kilo Foxtrot. So I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Congratulations, Zenith, for getting that giveaway. Hopefully if they don't snag it up, then we will submit for another name. So we will see, we will see. All right. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shout them out. Let me know. I will do my very best to answer with all of my knowledge I have. I've got Twitch, I've got Kick. I will do my best at reading both. Okay. This is your ever classic Tomahawk. I enjoy these boards. MSI makes MAGs, MPGs, they make a bunch of nice motherboards. They all have a bunch of different features on them. All of the features and functions can flow out to be kind of how they sit on the price point. Once we start adding high-end Wi-Fi and Type-C cables onto and a 2.5 gig onto our I/O, we will be kind of upping that price. We do have a nice Type-3 and a Type-C header on there. We do have quite a few plethora of fan headers, a couple USBs, and 2 RGBs. So not a whole lot of RGBs if we're wanting to load this board up with RGB. This is the MSI Tomahawk B760 Wi-Fi edition. Now, every motherboard and every processor has one thing in common. That thing in common being they are keyed and can only be installed one way. We cannot install a processor that way, or that way. It can only be installed this way on our 14th series procs. So we'll want to go ahead and open up, match our triangle arrow to our triangle arrow. Boom. And just like that, we are rocking. Now, our next fun thing that we will be installing will be the heat dissipation source. What we have here today is a all-in-one liquid cooler, all-in-one AIO, all-in-one is a solid system. It is just a one-piece system. Everything is already pre-set up the way it is intended to be used. This is an i5 14600KF. The K means that yes, we can overclock it if we wanted to. The F means no, we cannot plug a HDMI or DisplayPort cable into our I/O and get video. We will be needing a graphics card to get video. Back plates are going to be not attached to Intel builds, so you'll want to go ahead and slap that on. Every system is going to require one. AMDs are usually built onto the motherboard. Then the next thing that gets added on is usually some kind of standoff or support bracket. And these are what really makes the kit. Yes, the back plate has to be the correct plate, but the standoffs are very important. If we try to install this 1700 kit onto, like, say, Intel 10th edition, it's not going to do what we want it to. So really make sure that we're using the right componentry and hardware whenever we're plugging stuff up. Unless you hang out with us and you're part of our, like, daily multiverse conversations, where yes, there is one universe that everything does plug in to everything. Doesn't matter if it's AMD or Intel. That's just not the multiverse universe that we live in here. So sadly, everything has to be flowing together from the gate to work. Okay, thermal paste. This guy's got a nice little dollop in the middle here. And that is some pretty nice paste for our standard using. This system right here is not getting overclocked, even though we do have that K unit on there. And the customer did not get any of our premium paste. But if we are wanting to get into overclocking our system, having that premium paste is very nice to have. Essentially, the way I like looking at it is race cars. You've got your race cars and you have your daily driver cars. Yes, your daily driver does get lots of hard use out of it because it's getting driven daily, but a race car is pushed to the limits for extended periods of time. So having better components and better fluids and better parts inside that race car is a lot like having upgraded oil, upgraded tires, upgraded rims. It's like having upgraded thermal paste. It just helps support those higher numbers for longer times. Not that the paste that's on here now won't, it's just nicer paste is going to allow for bigger numbers for extended parts of time. Okay, now when it comes to plugging in our pump, we want to take our fan header and plug it into CPU fan, which is going to be this guy up here. So we can do that a couple of ways. The way I like to do it is wrap it around the posts. That makes it look very nice and clean. It keeps your cable hidden out of the way, and it also keeps your cable out of any heat areas, heat zones that might melt it. I have done it once where I tried hiding the whole thing underneath it. Instead of, you can see I've got it kind of wrapped right there and laying outside. I used to try and take that cable and get it underneath. One time I accidentally got it under just the right spot, and it was sitting in between the copper liquid cooler and the processor, and it got hot and melted a little bit. So kind of had to put a new pump or a new all-in-one on because melted some cables. Now, we talked about dual channel, quad channel, single channel memory modulars. I was really excited to snag this because I love 4 sticks. I think a fully set up system looks real pretty. Like, I'm sure you guys watched DJ's system in the back. He's got like, there'll be like a brick wall. Like this system right here, behind over my shoulder, you can see like just the 2 memory modulars, but once you stick 4 with RGBs on there, whoo, it's crazy. But these are just PCBs, so a PCB is just going to be our basic board. We don't have a heat shield on here. We don't have any RGBs on here. All it is just the really nice thin DDR5. So memory modulars are keyed just like our processors, so they can only be installed one direction. That little center split there can only be installed one way. So now when we go to install our memory, if we only have one memory, we are populating the second bay. Right. If we have two memory, we would populate the second bay and the fourth bay. Now, we have 4 memory, so we are filling everything up. But that is the order that we would run. We would never run 3 sticks. We would either run 1, 2, or 4. Memory works in dual systems. So it either works 1, 2, or 4 ways. No 3 sticks. 3 sticks is going to be a little weird. Now, there are motherboards like your big Threadripper boards, your TRX 40 boards, and your Intel Extreme boards. Those motherboards will have 8 bays of memory. So there will be 4 bays on the left and 4 bays on the right. Those really want to crack open that manual and read that manual and make sure that you're installing the memory in the correct slots. I know off the top of my head, it has been a very long time since I built an Intel Extreme, but I know that those guys start on the left side. And then I believe Threadripper is like, if you're rocking 4, you're rocking 2 on one side and 2 on the other side. But with that Intel, you're rocking all 4 on one side. So that's where reading those manuals, keeping your manuals is very nice. This is a solo terabyte NVMe M.2. Just gonna go underneath this heat shield right here. This is a nice MSI, uses the nice slide locks. We want all of our maximum storage that we can get out of there, so we're gonna peel this thermal pad. Now, the difference between thermal pad and thermal paste is this is a pad. I can touch it. I'm really giving it good. You can see it kind of flattens out, but it will come back together. And it's just a pad that's set on. They come in graphics cards. They cover up your NVMEs. I'm sure if we pop these heat shields off, there will be some sitting on the heat shields to help move some of that heat off of the resistor caps. Okay. I did not realize we got an MSI. Why do I always do this and realize late? So this is MSI on MSI. We've got a board and a graphics card. I like when people combine companies together and they keep it all the same. Woo! Look at that little guy. So this is a little 2-slot, 2-fan, 8 PCI. Okay, terminology. 2-slot. Boom. We've got 2 slots, 2 fans, double fan. If it was a 3-fan, it'd blow out extra for another fan. And I like the hard 2-slot. That means all of our cards sits inside this little metal I/O. Ding, ding. This is nice plastic on here. And let me discount double check. Because I forgot. This is an overclocked edition, and we are an 8 GB card. Is better to run 4 of same sticks or just get 2 higher sticks? I have 2 sticks, only 16 RAM. Wanting to get at least 32. So like Paul said, if you rock 2 sticks that are bigger, then you can expand in the future. And by expanding in the future, if we buy 2 32 gig sticks and populate those bays, then we've got 64 gigs of memory. If down the road 64 for some reason is not enough and we need 128 gigs, then we could slap 2 more 32 gigs in and we would have all 4 bays filled with 32. Now, you could do all 16s or all 4s or all 8s. It doesn't really matter. It's just whatever you are using it for, you want to make sure that you have enough for it. So if you're just gaming, 32 gigs is going to be pretty set and standard right now. I can tell you that it changed to 32 gigs a couple years ago. So if you're buying a system and you're wanting it to last a long time, that is where either having that headroom or getting excessive from the get-go can be helpful. But if you're wanting to advance your RAM and you can buy 2 brand new sticks and you got like 16 gigs in there right now and you're gonna buy 2 individual 16s for 32, that is a good choice to do. Okay, I am going to pre-prep like a madman my power supply. How hard is overclocking and how do I tell if I can? We would want to find out what components we are rocking. If we have Intel components, the letter that we are needing that processor to have is a K. If it does not have a K on it, it is not overclockable. So ideally we want to check our components, see what you can do quick Google searches to see what's out there on the market. I'm sure there are a bunch of forums that have that specific motherboard processor combo to kind of help guide you into a good solid overclock system. One of these is put away. So with power supplies, we have our modular power supplies. We have our non-mods. Our non-mods is what we're playing with here. That means our cables are already pre-installed. So as you can see, I am getting rid of cables we don't need. This 750 watt, like most 750s, are going to come with quite a few, and by quite a few, I usually mean about 2 VGA cables. Our graphics card only requires the 1. So I'm zipping that other one up. I want my CPU because we've got a full 2 8s on that. There's our VGA. There is 1 SATA because we do have our case SATA to plug in, and we do have a, what is that called? It's right on the tip of my head. A fan hub, man. But with modular power supplies, that allows us to plug in only the cables that are needed. So we wouldn't be plugging in too many cables to this system. Having these extra cables with the system is nice because then you don't have any cables that you might lose. But if the customer gets my client home and they're going to upgrade the graphics card themselves, they have an extra power to be able to power a bigger graphics card if they have one at home. I know a lot of customers, not a lot, I know a couple of customers have done that in the past where they buy a pretty pimp system and put in a lower end graphics card in it. That's because they have a really nice card at home. The processor would be a component that you could overclock. Your graphics card can be a component that you can overclock. Yes, you can overclock memory. Is it needed? Not really. But your biggest two would be your CPU and your GPU. And he doesn't no longer unless 4 o'clock due to the stack. True. If you want to. True. With the way that technology advances, you know, it is a lot different of a overclocking game than it used to be. And with how fast some of these base chips can be, you know, we're kind of at that next generation on computers with the AM5 and the 14th series. I feel like I want a new case design or layout, and I would like the cases to be a little bit more conscientious with regards to power supplies. So essentially what I'm saying is there's not a whole lot. Yes, these cases are nice and big. They could barely hold like 4090s. And when I mean that, I'm talking depth. We have a lot of issues where graphics cards are super close to the glass wall. That's not a good thing. I would like to see a little bit more internal depth. And then also in the back, I would like to see a little bit more cable management spots. Some of these cases, it seems like they have cable management down, but it's just not big enough for some of these 1600 watt power supplies. Like when you're looking at a super huge case, you kind of should be able to stick a super huge power supply in it, and sometimes you just can't, and it can throw you off a little bit. Okay, we're gonna just install those fans afterward. Let's just go ahead and drop this in here. Yeah, if you're chasing, like if you're going after numbers, number crunching, that type of thing, then you are on a completely different category from what I am doing and we do here. We do have a department that pumps out or that does do overclocking, but we're not chasing numbers. And we just want our systems to run a bit faster for our clients. But yeah, there are guys out there, companies out there that just want to have an open test bench with nitrogen, and they are sub-freezing processors to make them go faster. That is a fun hobby to do. That is not really a daily driver that we are putting out. No worries. Andy in the 4070 Super. Yeah, that thing sounds good. AM9 59X and a 4070 Super. Yeah, I'd go for that. That sounds so fun. Hey, did you guys know that Insurgency Sandstorm can be played in offline mode? Because I found that out this weekend, and that is super fun, playing bots. I've not known a modern game to have bots in it. ready. Okay. I am a huge washer supporter. If you don't washer your radiators, then do you even go to LAN parties? If you can't carry your system around safely, like what Paul was saying out earlier with a graphics card slot missing, you know, don't transport your system with that in it. You can just take the card out and take it with you. There's enough room in there. I'll just continue locking all these in. So I like working in stages and steps. I like getting all of my stuff prepped, and then I like dropping it, and then I like tying up my case cables, getting those down and secured. Then I like tying up my power cables, getting those down and secured, and then I like doing my fans. I am not a big troubleshooting thinker. Most of my issues come from fans, either not spinning or not glowing. So I always stack fans on the top, closest to me, so that I can have easy access to those. So that is just something that I have slowly acquired over building and building systems. So I like just going a little step at a time. I think it makes it look a little nicer. You can kind of clean stuff up and have it looking really good. That's not good. Yeah, getting a broken computer in is not fun. Fortnite full of bot. You take pride in your work. Thanks, man. LTD.com. So true. So here are all of our case cables. We've got small guys, we've got big guys. I like separating things out. It just helps to keep things a lot organized. Like I said with the fans, everything's troubleshooting. If I can kind of have things separated out, it helps me to be able to kind of hone in where I need to work at if something is wrong. I'm not having to cut everything up. I'm just, okay, it's these couple right here, and that'll get me what I need, and then I can go from there. Okay, now we're building our system at home, or we're going to want to take some steps back from building our system at home. We're doing research on our system that we are going to build at home. Look at what case we are purchasing. Look at what motherboard we are purchasing. What case you're getting, the things you want to look at is what are the connections on the case? What does that front panel look like on the case? Is there a whole bunch of front panels, or what is up there? So this guy has our HD audio, that's going to be standard. We've got our front panel, which is also going to be standard. And we have a USB cable, might be standard. The USB cables that are becoming more standard are a Type C and a Type 3. We want to make sure that we have those headers on our motherboard if we have those cables on our case. And the reason why is so that we can just do what I'm doing right here. Just plug that 3.0 directly into that 3.0, and I'm going to come through with our type C right there. And now this is like an eye unit. You can kind of tell, but one of the eyes is fat and one of the eyes is skinny. That skinny eye is on top. Boom. So if our motherboard didn't have that type C, we would have to plug that type C into a different header. So ideally you want to know which headers your motherboard has, or your case has, so that you get a motherboard that can be plugged in accurately. There goes our HD audio cable. That one's pretty easy. That usually sits underneath our graphics cards down in the bottom corner. And now we've got all these left, so we're just gonna lock down with some zip ties, make it look nice and neat. We do have Velcro straps, which also help with the tie up, making it real clean. Once you build a couple systems and get those under your belt, building it's very nice, relaxing. Sometimes it's not relaxing, and it's, what is this? How can I fit this into here? That's when I want to quit and go work for a motherboard manufacturer or power supply company or a case company and tell them how to build it for a little bit and then come back and see what changed. But for the most part, we're just gonna plug everything in like normal. Now, get down here to the bottom. We've got our front panel. Front panels are pretty fun today. Some companies are plugging in a very nice header cable so that it makes it super easy. It's this big cable right here, and that makes it really nice to plug in. But if you don't have one of those, front panels are kind of a funky layout. We have a couple pins, and that weird one is down here. So if we were looking at a USB header, this pin would be on the top and we would have a blank spot right here. But we're looking at a front panel header, so we've got a blank spot on the top and a pin on the bottom. Real similar though. On the bottom, we start with our HDD LED. Then we have our reset switch to the right of that. We've got a power top above our reset, and that's our power switch. And then we have our PWR LED, our power LED. Wow, I cannot spell today. And that guy's usually split in half. We have our positive sides and we have negative sides, so we want to make sure that we also plug them in correctly. So we've got a positive left, a negative right for our power LED. We've got a positive left, negative right for our power switch. We have a positive left, negative right for our HDD LED. And this is where we go crazy, and we're in the upside down in Stranger Things, and this is a negative left and a positive right. So if you're having to plug those in and for some reason your power button's not turning the system on, you might have it plugged into a different header. Sometimes that'll get plugged in on the reset switch. If you plug that reset button, then it fires up. Like it's okay, you're not gonna fry anything. Just give it a nice little discount double check every once in a while if you're plugging that in for the first time. But these big, nice header cable plug-in ports, whatever I want to call them, I like those a lot. And we got RGB way over here. Okay. So, on our back side, all of our cases all tied up right there. Ding. So from here, I am going to grab my power supply that I've already kind of changed up. Nice. The giveaways, well, that is a good reason to be a part of the stream. We literally give away a system every month. I have people asking for a free PC all the time. Just get that notifications going, and you got 12 chances a year to get a sweet system. Oh, no, that looks hideous. Okay, another aesthetic thing. Whenever you purchase a white case, they will usually come with silver hardware. Don't forget to use said silver hardware because black hardware looks crazy. Especially when they use silver on all of the other hardware. Stormtrooper builds are a thing. But they don't need to be that big of a thing. Okay. We will tuck away our extra cables that we did not need. I am going to drive my VGA cable through its spot. I'm going to CPU into the CPUs. And I also like doing it this way because like I don't have a fan right here so it makes plugging in these cables into this spot a lot easier than having to work around some fans. Another nice thing about having fans in last is we don't have to, I just lost my feed, Jason. We don't have to what was I saying? We don't have to worry about all of our fan cables it being in our way. And just like I said earlier, gonna work on these cables, make them look nice, get them all tied up and put down. Brink, 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 brink. Fantex has ribs and Velcro. I really enjoyed the ribs. They kind of help separate everything into little segments too, which makes it look really nice and clean on that inside. And there we have our and like I said, when you've built a couple, you'll know where zip ties need to go for your tie up. So you can just pre-tie up some cables. Good, good, good. All right, let's drop this graphics card. I remember going out and buying my very first graphics card. It was when fans got installed on them, and it had one fan a little bit smaller than that guy right in the middle. It was so good looking. Okay, expansion cards and where to install them. Ideally, we want our graphics card going in that top biggest PCI slot. Every once in a while, there'll be a little small guy, kind of like the one that's down here on the bottom, up above our PCI. If there's ever a little teeny one up above our graphics card, that is where we want to attach our Wi-Fi or our LAN. And then this lowest one is where we want to attach our sound cards and have our sound plugged into them. Some sound cards do require the sound to be plugged in, some of them don't. Really just kind of depends on the system. SLI is kind of a thing of the past. You're not going to find too terribly many systems out there that are requesting it. We got that. That looks good. And we just take our excess and zip tie it down. Oh, man, that looks good. So those were our 24-pin, our CPU, our VGA, and our SATAs. We only need 4 cables. We still have our fans to install with our fan hub. Fan hubs. Depending on what type of fan we are using, will determine what all kind of equipment we have to use with it. If we are rocking proprietary fans, kind of like what we've got here with our GameDS fans, we're going to require GameDS fan controllers. Same thing goes for Corsair, Lanley, not Fantex, Corsair, Lanley, whoa. Yeah, a couple companies will require you to use their own proprietary fan hub. Some of those can hold a bunch of fans, some of those can hold not a whole bunch of fans. So kind of do some research on what you're wanting before getting into your fan purchasing. I can tell you this, fan purchasing can be expensive. And it can be a little bit of a nightmare. If you're wanting specific RGB layouts and stuff like that, some companies have a little bit better RGB software than others, and that's where that comes in and makes it easier on some and more difficult on others. Okay, so I've got that guy mounted there. All right, let's install some fans. When it comes to installing fans, we have fans doing one of 2 jobs. A fan is either going to be bringing air in or pushing air out. Ideally, we want more fans saying, hey, air, come in this way. Then we want fans saying, hey, air, leave this way. Oh, nope, not that. And what I mean by that is a positive pressure is better than negative if we can maintain that. That is what we want to do. Now, I do know that we're installing 8 fans here, so 4 will be intakes and 4 will be exhausts. But 2 of those exhausts are going to be on a radiator, so it won't move air as fast as it would with it being naked out in the open. But it's not hindering it a whole lot to where it's a bad thing. It's just moving air through metal. And when it comes to radiators, we can put fans on one side, on either side, or we can put fans on both sides. If we are those guys like we were talking about earlier, who are going after those super high intense overclock numbers, having a push-pull system on our processor is going to equate to more air through the rad, equaling a more cool processor, which in theory should be more gigahertz out of it, so it should be faster, aka overclocked. But every fan company is going to have something that is either a little bit different for them, or it's going to be a nice 3 or 4 pin fan. 4 pin fans are very nice. You might just need a couple of daisies. I like plugging 3 in on a daisy to plug in to a fan header. You don't want to overload stuff. That's where overloading RGB headers and fan headers is a thing, and it will affect performance. Because if your system can only breathe at 60%, it's only ever going to be able to breathe at 60%, not be able to suck in any more air. Pull in any more air. We don't want to suck in air, we want to pull in air. I'm a big fan of letting things breathe. And that looks centered right there. Do RGBs make your fans faster? That is a very good question. RGBs are there for aesthetic purposes. They do not make anything faster. I have read warning systems on a couple of RGB light strips. Do not put 100% white without having adequate airflow in your machine. It will overheat and fry. I turned it on to that white 100%. I left it there for all of about 10 seconds because of how bright it was. This was on a customer build. It was insanely bright. I don't know anybody who needs Batman searchlight inside their computer. But I don't remember the name of the brand of the streamers, but it's they're light kits for your cables. Don't know if you guys have seen those. They are pretty crazy things. This is how you invert a system. And then with a good rule of thumb on fan orientation, ideally you want the fans on the floor bringing air up, the fans in the front pushing air towards the back, the fans on the roof taking air out, and then the ones in the back pushing air out the back. Which one is loose? What am I caught on? Oh, that would be why. There we go. And I like kind of getting stuff centered pretty well. Like having that exposed fan on the back side and our radiator on the front. And what I mean by that is this is a 240, we're looking at a 240 liquid cooler. So we've got radiator here and we have just our fan solo right there. I like having this zone free because this fan here is going to get all of this air that's coming off of our graphics card. It's not a lot, but all of the heat that is in this section is going to get pulled up through this fan here and out. Then I like my radiator being all the way forward because these 3 fans here and this 1 fan down here, all 4 of these fans is air is just going to get directly pumped into our radiator, which is going to have fans on it pushing the air out. So that is going to be a very nice setup for our airflow. Air cooler on Horizon 70X right now, set up with push-pull. My CPU runs at 40C and runs if the super decent concerning it's a hot chip. That is nice, yeah. Yeah, push-pull it does not take too much to cool some of these processors, but some of them do require quite a bit to be able to maintain when you're gaming. Nice. Sometimes you can get that. Some liquid coolers aren't that great, and a heatsink can cool better than, but a lot of the times that is vice versa until you get into a real nice heatsink. But I'm afraid the Noxias and Be Quiet Dark Rocks are kind of going to go away with the AM5s and 13s and 14s. That's nice. Okay, now for the fun part of plugging all of our fans in, like I normally start at the back. This case, some cases you do have specific and different instructions on how to plug them in and tie them up and such. This is one of those that I kind of go by a different order on. Okay, let me change it this way then. So I go, my back fan is fan 8. Then this is 7. Then this is 6. And this one's 5. They can hold 4 fans per side. So I have all of my exhaust on one side. I can come in here with 3 zip ties, put one up top here, have those meet at a Y, and then I can do a nice fold trick here. And now all of my exhaust fan cables are in one nice bundle. We don't have any crisscrosses going over our fan hub. I'll just have that one nice line going there. So now I know that if anything bad happens to my exhaust, I'm just looking at one side. And then I'm going fan 1. I'm just keeping them in order on the box to what the case is. So fan 1, this is going to be fan 2. Then fan 3. And then that one on the floor is 4. And the nice thing with that, now I can take my top 2, all of my 4 from the fan hub, go over and meet up. And now all of my cables are run here. And boom. There are all of our intakes. Our fan wires are well managed. Nothing is going over, so we don't have to like really try and figure out where stuff is at. Now we plug in our RGB so that our fans will be whatever our case is set to, which is in turn also plugged into the motherboard. So if we wanted to control it via our motherboard programming, we could do that as well. I'm a big fan of the Fantex pre-configures. So I'll take my RGB plug-in. That gets plugged into the case. Gonna go behind all of my fan plugs with my excess. Plug in my RGB. I forgot to route my power cable earlier. Nope, I want to just plug. There we go. Perfect. And last but not least is our pulse management for our fans. I call it pulse management. I think it's power watt management. It's how much your fans pulse when they need to speed up because your system's overheating. Okay. And one last zip tie. Boom. So we did all of our case tie-up, which was the white line. And then we had all of our power lines put in there. And then we did our fans. Pretty easy. Of course, I was just surprised to see it keep my CPU that cool. Nice. Starting out my own PC. Nice. Heck yeah, dude. That's the way to do it, Synergy. Okay, now, how do these cable hoses look? They look pretty crazy with that curl on there. Some, not all, liquid coolers let you manipulate them a little bit. So I know for a fact that Lindleys do not, EKs do not. Do not force this. This is, you can tell pretty quickly if it does allow for some twists. But we have a pretty wicked curl on our cable here, so I'm going to grab close to our header here and twist one direction, just a little quarter turn. If it twists, then I can keep going. If it doesn't allow you to twist, then that's where our hoses are at. So I like to have a nice little curl over an S. So I'm just going to curl these until they look pretty similar and look fluid. I don't want a nice little jank curl going on. That looks pretty nice right there. Awesome. Okay, let's slap some panels down. I think I need a new bottle of this stuff. Oh, we're still good. We're good for a day. What are we doing? Ouch. That was up. That was up. Wrong bend. There. We're good. Boom, and there. Ugh. What's up? Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us today. I want to thank Zenith for coming and hanging out on the show and getting some of those codes throughout the month of February and winning that PC. We will see if they fully accept it within 24 hours. All right, from here I will fast field it, which is what you guys see me do during the break. That is whenever you purchase a system from us, you get emailed pictures along the building process, along the picking process, along the whole process of your system. And that just helps to keep QA stuff, quality assurance stuff, correct. But once I do that, I will take it to a tester where they will burn it in for 12 hours, make sure everything is good on it before we ship it out. Let's see what we've got. Boom. Do that. And that. There we go. All three on the roof are spinning, all three on the back are spinning, the floor and the rear are all spinning and colorful, so I'm really good with that. I will fast field it back at my desk and then take it into testing to get all tuned up before we ship it out. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today. Come by and see what we're going to be doing on Thursday. We might be building that new giveaway, so Just a little heads up. But come back and hang out with us. We're in a new month, so we'll be having a new giveaway here soon. I hope you all have a good week. I will talk to you later, Scuba Gang. Bye.